The topic will be like an MBA curriculum in 1.5 hours, so it is very broad. A problem with performance management is it is being perceived far too narrowly, as if it's just a CFO initiative about financial reporting and a bunch of dashboards with dials. It's much broader. So I will try to clarify what it is. So my agenda will be to clarify what performance management is. Then you will see, after I describe it, that it's much more important to understand what is causing interest in it. And I've identified 8 pressures or forces causing the interest. And then I'll bring it all together at the end. This has got nothing to do with performance management, and it's a bit scary, but I just want to share an observation. What is the lifespan of large companies? Of the Forbes 100, that's a magazine in the US that was created in 1917, of the 100 largest companies, how many do you think existed a couple of years ago? Only 18. And only 39 have survived. And of the Standard & Poor's list of 500 that was created in 1957, how many were on the list? Just 74. I'm not sure how to interpret this, but my belief is that once organizations are successful, it breeds adversity to taking risk. And you have to realize that each new day is a competitive day. This economic downturn just complicates matters, but even without the economic downturn, surviving is key. I'm a believer that what's most important is to come out of this economic downturn stronger. As you said, pain can create, strength, and that's more what to focus on. There is confusion and lack of consensus about what performance management is. In fact, if you Google performance management, most of the hits will be about human resources and personnel, the individual. This is about enterprise performance management. The employees are important, but they're part of the delivery of the organization. Is it about scorecards, dashboards, key performance indicators, and measures? That's a component, but there's a much broader piece. Is it about alignment of the behavior of employees with the strategy and determining how many employees to have and resources, capacity management? Yes. Is it about process, productivity, quality improvement, programs like Six Sigma, lean management, making the process more efficient? Now that's part of it, but that's just one part of it. There's much more than just being good at processes. You have to be good at the important processes. Is it about analytics? This is a big part. The use increasingly of being able to understand using analytical techniques like segmentation analysis. Or is it all of the above and even more? And my talk at the end, you'll realize that it is a big picture. So what is the problem? Direction, traction, and speed. If you are driving a car, you can directly control all 3 because you can turn the steering wheel for direction, you can downshift the gear to go up the mountain, you can step on the gas pedal to go faster. But if you are the senior executive, CEO, managing director of an organization, you cannot directly control all 3 to drive your organization to higher value creation. And the reason executives cannot do this is because they have to rely on managers and employees. And I'll be a little humorous here. Managers and employees sometimes behave like little children. They don't always do what you tell them to do. And this is a frustration for executives. Because although most executives are quite good at formulating strategy, their big frustration has been failure to implement strategy. Dr. Norton and Kaplan, the authors of the Balanced Scorecard series, claim 9 out of 10 organizations fail to implement strategy, and there's even more evidence, at least in North America. This is the headline from our USA newspaper. It says, turnover for CEOs CEOs is on a record pace. In 2008, the number of CEOs who were fired set a record, and the previous record was 2007. I think part of this is there's more activist board of directors, but one of the issues is the impatience with not implementing strategy. Now, I'm not trying to scare you that your jobs are at risk, but the issue here is not about formulating strategy, it's making it happen. The good news is this: performance management is not a new methodology that everyone now has to learn, but rather it's the integration of existing methodologies that everybody is already familiar with, like customer relationship management, lean management, Six Sigma, activity-based costing for profitability reporting, strategy maps, balanced scorecards, and so forth. The problem is most organizations have been implementing these techniques in isolation of each other or in a sequence. You get more power when you integrate them together, and even more power when you embed inside each methodology analytics of all flavors, like segmentation analysis, but particularly predictive analytics. Because most management style is shifting away from a after-the-fact command and control, reacting to variances that happen, to more of an anticipatory planning where the future is coming at you and you make adjustments in advance of things happening. So I would say, as you mentioned, performance management has been around for decades, and arguably before there were computers. The issue is that if you think of these methodologies like gears in a machine, in most organizations, it's not working real well. Some of the teeth on the gears are broken. Some of the gears have fallen apart or come apart. Some are made out of wood, they're crumbling. Someone threw sand in the gears. That machine will work, but it won't work well. If it's in your car, your fuel efficiency in liters per kilometer will be low. But if you replace that with an idea of highly cut titanium gears spinning at faster revolutions per minute, synchronized, harmonized, that's what performance management of all these methodologies is like. And if that was in your car, your fuel efficiency would be much higher. Now replace fuel efficiency with the rate of shareholder wealth creation. The speed in which you can create more wealth with the same resources. That's what performance management's goal is. And that's really the solution to this problem of direction, traction, and speed. If you want a definition, performance management embraces methodologies, metrics, processes, software tools, and systems that manage an organization's performance. So to be clear, performance management is not a process. It's not a system. It's not software. You don't come to my colleagues at SAS and say, we want to buy SAS's performance management software, and we sell you a CD. But we'll sell you a lot of little CDs because if you bundle them together, combined, you get performance management. So what does it look like? Well, on my laptop, I have 15 diagrams of performance management from Accenture, from Deloitte, from Bearing Point. They all look like they are IT diagrams for the Chief Information Officer. So I drew my own diagram for business managers. But it's complicated. It's got many boxes. And rather than go through this diagram now, customer, strategy, scorecards, resources, and so forth, I'd rather explain this diagram at the end of my presentation. And this will be your test to evaluate me on how well did I explain performance management more broadly. But to summarize this diagram, there's really three major components. Strategy formulation, that's for the executives to answer the question, where do we want to go? Then there's the performance measures, which is how well are we doing on where we want to go. And then come the financial and economic measures, which is where should we be spending our money, and can we even afford the strategy that we desire? So it all fits together.